No, it was pretty good. My first outdoor meet for the season, I think, went really, really well. It was my first outdoor meet since NCAA's of 2019, so it's been a little while, and I mean, it was kind of good to kind of get a hit out again, and it actually proved to be really successful. I ran the fastest time I've ran collegiately in the 400, ran like a 0.4 second PR in the 110 hurdles, and jumped the furthest I've jumped in long jump outdoors. So it was pretty successful.
I'm assuming there's some shaking off of rust if it's been that long time.
Yeah, definitely. There was some nerves, going into it, not really knowing what to expect, but in the end, looking back on it, I think it showed that training's been going really, really well, and the future has some big things in store. Yeah.
So, it might be a silly question, but the heptathlon. Obviously, a track and field athlete, if they're doing one event, they're focusing super hard on that one event. What's the focus like for yourself that has to do so many different things and juggle so many different events?
Yeah, well, for me, I kind of go by what's like an 8-minute rule, I warm up for my event, whatever event it is, go and do it, and then doesn't matter how good I did in that event or how bad I did in that event, I have 8 minutes to, kind of think about it, look back on it, and then once that 8 minutes is done, it's time to lace up for the next event and focus on that and move on to that one. So that's kind of how I go about it.
With the success that you've seen yourself and the growth that you've shown, are you plateauing when you need to be, or you still think that you've got some better PRs left in your tank?
Oh no, I definitely think there's still lots to come. With our new coach this year, Coach Hurston, he's helped me program really, really well this season, and he's helped me get into a pretty good shape, probably the best shape I've been in quite a while. So I'm super excited to see what the future has in store, because I definitely know there's a few big PRs waiting.
So what has changed when you're racing against the number, the clock, the height, and you're not racing against other people? How do you push yourself, and how do you want to chase, that higher number?
Yeah, well, you just kind of got to look back at what you've done over the last, however long it is, and know that what you've put in to get to where you are has been enough, and specifically in the event itself, there are some cues that your coach gives you to think about in that event, and all you can do at the time of, lining up to race or to jump is think about those cues that your coaches have given you, and just try and execute that as well as you can, because if you execute that, it's going to be big, it's going to be good.
How's Coach Hurston changed the way? Is it little changes? Is it big changes? How you talked about how he's helped change you?
Yeah.
Were they mental? Were they physical?
Bit of both, definitely. I was, coming off a pretty bad injury last year. I was kind of in a bit of a slump, not really knowing, how am I going to get out of it and whatnot. And kind of with a new coach, there's always that, I guess, uncertainty of how you two are going to be able to work together. And he kind of diminished any uncertainty that I had in the first 2 weeks, because he's such an interpersonal person, and you can tell that he wants you to succeed for yourself. He doesn't want you to do good for anybody else but yourself, and that was kind of the mental aspect of things that he kind of helped me shift, and he brought back the enjoyment in training. He brought back the enjoyment that I had for the sport, competing in the Texas Tech uniform. So I'm very grateful for that.
When you were young, what did you originally kind of gravitate to event-wise, and when did you become a combined events person?
So I started doing track and field very, very young. I started off just kind of doing everything, but I originally started off as more of a distance runner. So I was a bit more cross-country, a bit more 800s when I was, about 8, 9, 10 years old. But then as I started learning more about the other events, I was like, oh, well, there's a few other things that is a bit more fun than a 3K race, So I started playing around with high jump and long jump. And then once I started getting pretty good at high jump and long jump, my coach, he was a former decathlete, and he goes, hey man, well, there's actually one event where you can do all the events. And I was like, hang on a minute, really? So we had played around with the decathlon for a bit. We started training pole vault, started learning how to throw a shot put, discus, all those sort of things, and came out and did my first decathlon, really enjoyed it, and I thought, you know what, this might be something I'd like to give a crack, and went on with it.
And your coach that you referred to was who?
Steve Kane, back in Australia.
Kane spelled which way?
C-A-I-N.
And this is in what city? Your hometown?
Melbourne, Australia. Yeah. He was a former decathlete. He went to the Com Games, and I think he had a 4th or 5th place. So that was pretty cool.
So today, which of the combined events gives you the toughest challenge The hardest. What's the event that's toughest for you, hardest for you?
Definitely anything past the 400 meters, so the 1K indoors or the 1500 outdoors. That's definitely physically the most challenging event. But when it comes down to technique, it would probably be discus or pole vault that I probably find most challenging. Yeah.
Although, didn't you clear in pole vault your PR is a pretty good high?
5:17. I think it's 16, just under 17 feet. Yeah.
Because you finished individually in the pole vault.
Yes.
What, third in the Big 12? Right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was third. Yeah. Yeah. It's challenging, but it's probably my favorite. Yeah.
How did you handle all that you were going through last year, especially with the way the Big 12 ended, when you were leading with one event and you got hurt, and then with what you're dealing with your family situation?
Yeah, well, the Big 12 indoors kind of, didn't finish the way that I wanted to, kind of got hurt while I was in the lead, but although it was a bit of a kick in the face, it was humbling. It helped me. Well, hold on. So we kind of had to go back to the drawing board and kind of had to see. Okay, so I was dealing with a lot of tendonitis issues, and we had to go back to the drawing board and see. Okay, well, where's all this coming from? Why am I dealing with this? Is it something in the programming? Am I running too much? Am I lifting too heavy? And Coach Hurston kind of came in and he helped me fix that a little bit. We loaded properly, we programmed properly, and this season I've had an absolute ripper season, and I haven't really dealt with anything. Fingers crossed that I haven't really dealt with anything major, and it's been really good. And the family side of things, it was really, really tough. But I had my dad and I had my brother there. They were my biggest supporters through it all, and they were supporting me, and in them supporting me, I was supporting them, and we were just kind of looking after each other, and that's all we could have really done, And coming back to the track this season, all I really wanted to do is do one thing, and Mum always loved to watch me compete. She loved to watch me do really, really well. So I thought I'm going to do as best as I can, so make her proud.
Yeah. It was around this time last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, June 1st last year, I believe.
So how much time did you spend back at home?
Well, it was very, very unfortunate, actually. Once I left here, I had to go back to Australia. I had to spend 2 weeks in hotel quarantine, and it was within those 2 weeks hotel quarantine that my mum was really going downhill. But luckily, I actually got out on my very last day. I got out, it was a Friday, and flew back at 6 a.m. in the morning. Went straight to the hospital where she was, saw her, said hello, all that sort of things, and it was unfortunate, but later that night she unfortunately passed away. So I genuinely believe that she was just kind of holding on to say her last little goodbyes, and it was nice to see her again. Yeah.
She was how old?
She wasn't even 50, I think 47. Yeah. So they had lots in the tank.
You said a moment ago, back to a half of your subject, this season you used a term, did you say a ripper season?
Yeah, ripper season. Yeah. I guess that just means a really good season. It's been pretty good so far. Yeah. Little Aussie slang for you.
When did you cut your hair?
Saturday. I cut it on Saturday. Actually, it was about 45 minutes before the meet. Me and my wife were standing there, and we were looking at it, and we're like thinking, okay, because I kind of been thinking about cutting it all week. And I'm like, okay, let's cut it. And finally it gets down to it. I'm like, okay, let's cut it. And we wanted to cut it into, a bit of a funky hairstyle or something. But then we cut the hair off, 2 ponytails, we cut it off, and like, you know what? Let's just shave it. Let's just go all out, and then shaved it off, and yeah, now it's gone.
When was the last time you had it?
Probably 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a little while. It was due for a haircut, definitely. It was due.
Because you've normally worn it pretty...
Yeah, pretty long. It was just about down to there. Yeah, so it was quite long. It was getting a bit annoying outdoors with the wind and everything, but now I don't have to worry about it.
You're more aerodynamic.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's why last weekend went so well. Yeah.
Awesome. We got time.
I think we have 14 girls and 10 guys. We're taking a pretty small group, preparing most of our people for the Tom Jones relays in Florida next week. It's going to be a really big 2-day meet, so we're going to run our guys pretty hard there. So we're just sharpening up. The throwers will mostly go to WT with a few distance runners, and getting everybody else ready for next week.
So what have you seen so far in outdoor, and where do you still think that improvements are coming?
I've been real pleased. Had a really good Texas relays. We had a good meet last week where Abilene Christian was a good little just opener. So we've had 3 opportunities. We haven't run all of our kids in their events yet. Most of them will do that by next week. We'll open them up at Florida, and I'm real pleased. We're relatively healthy, and that's right now this time of year. And getting some of the people, especially Terrence, off the shelf. We had him indoors, getting him back. He's 100%, we believe now. So I'm just real encouraged with this team if we can stay healthy.
Coach, you just had your first outdoor track meet at home last week. Canyon's only a stone's throw away. Does it kind of feel like a home away from home?
It does, and we wanted, we're hosting the Big 12, so we want to run home. We ran this past week. We'll run on the 29th, and then we'll have the Big 12. So our kids are familiar, of course, with home, but we wanted to create some environments at home that are going to be a little bit closer. And then we had a big trip to Florida, and so we didn't want to go too far this week. But I don't think they'll have a problem with feeling at home at WT.
Wes, the 2200 time that Jacoby ran last week to go from, what was it, 2069, I think, down to 47. What did you think of how he ran and have that?
Yeah, not many people will notice or remember, but of course Jacoby's been here 4 years. He's a junior because he'll get his COVID. It's his first 200 meters outdoors for me ever.
Right.
He's never had an opportunity because of injury mostly or whatever situation. It was his first 200 outdoors, and of course 2047 turned into 2054 being at altitude, but really pleased with his first effort, first 200, personal best ever, indoors or out, but it literally was his first outdoor meet for me.
Yeah, because he got hurt in the conference indoor that one year.
Yeah.
How does the Florida meet set you up in the right path for what you want to have when you come back for the Big 12?
Yeah, the Texas relays, Florida was there, Texas A&M, Texas, all the top schools. Florida and A&M, of course, will be at Florida, among Florida State, other people. It's one of the meets you can't just have hot week in, week out with these kids, especially the sprinters. So it's just an opportunity for us to hook up with, number 2, number 3 team in the country, and to put our best people against their best people. And I think it just really gives you an opportunity to compete with the best. We need to be put in those positions. We did that a lot indoors. Now we're going to do it again outdoors. And we're getting a lot of people back. Bashan will run the hurdles for the first time outside, the 110s. Probably Oscar will run for the first time in the 400 hurdles outdoors, and Terrence will run the 100 probably for the first time. We can talk about this more next week, but that's our plan. And so those are 3 big guns on the men's side. And then Ruth will also open up. We're taking a group to Mount Sac and to Florida. So some of the jumpers are mostly going to Mount Sac, and then the sprinters and the rest of the team are going to the Tom Jones relay. So we're going to have a lot of new people. Rudo will open up. That had indoors on the women's side, and so it's getting everybody back. I kind of feel like next week's going to be where everybody almost exclusively on our team has competed.
So in that way, you'll have the timing is leading up, is perfectly leading up.
It just puts you kind of get a good picture. We're going to have a really good picture of where we are after we run next week and run against the best. And Florida's got a 19-9 Olympian. He ran 2020 last week, and Texas A&M had a 2020. They've got a 145 flat half miler. There's just, they have a great team, and so it's going to be putting our people against their best people, and other schools. I know there's going to be a lot of great schools there. It's going to be a mini national meet, and so that's why it's important to see our kids how they react in that situation.
Speaking of more of an individual standpoint, Season's had a great season so far. She's placed first in all 3 of the meets she's gone to. How was her dominance really just shown?
Yeah, she'd probably tell you it's not, because she's wanting to get that 200 feet. She's all over it, but she's just really consistent, and that's so important. And I think the big throw will come. She was really hoping. We had a pretty good win this past Saturday at home, and she thought she would get it then and didn't. But she's, she'll get behind. another thrower was ahead of her, and then she'll go get them. And she did the same thing at Texas Relays. That's what I've loved. 2 meets in a row, she's been behind going into the finals and pulled it out. And so I love how she's competing now, and she'll get the big throw when it counts, I think.
And talking about relays and stuff like that, how has she like shown, like she's a senior, she's shown like a leadership role kind of to the younger guys, especially going to like bigger events like the Florida you're talking about?
I always say you win championships with juniors and seniors, and that's I still believe that way. And it's incredible. Kaylee, her on the women's side, Ruth, that group is just being tremendous leaders for us. They've been in a lot of big meets. They've been in all kind of situations, and they keep, I think, the whole women's team, especially, knowing and confident. And I think you'll find the same thing on the men's side with our juniors and seniors.
What have you thought of what Gary has done? I guess especially the way he finished indoor season with what he did in Big 12s and the second team All-American at National.
Yeah.
And how he started out.
Well, just so thrilled with him. He had the disappointment here in 21 where got the conference championship won. He's already won the pole vault, and all we have to do is go run the 1,000, and he ripped his Achilles. And so I think it was a big question mark for him coming back in this year. And of course, we had a change of coaches, but he has done a way better job of taking care of himself, and we worked on that Achilles before practice, after practice. Our trainers have done a fabulous job, and he has not had any trouble the whole year. Keep your fingers crossed. He's healthy, and he's feeling good, and he's having fun. And I think that's what you're seeing in his performances. Even last week, 24-2 in the long, low 14, and 49 flat. That's a really good preparation for. They'll go to Mount Sac next week and do their first multi. So just really proud of him, and he's such a leader, and he's so happy-go-lucky, and he keeps everybody, I think, not so serious about it, and I think it's just a good thing.
So what did you think when you saw him with his spear? Oh, God.
I honestly didn't know who it was for a second. I thought I had a new teammate, but, he calls everybody mates, so I told him, man, he ran good in the hurdles, and he long jumped well, and I said, man, that hair, you're keeping that wind drag down. So he laughed and said, you're right, Coach, I think it's probably working. But I'm real proud of him. He's really having a great senior year. So
close to that 200. It's just you can taste it almost, can't you?
Literally, it's like right there, and I know it's there. I'm just waiting for it to like manifest at this rate.
Do you think that you're waiting for the right moment to pop it? Is it just one of those things of you've got it in the arm and you've got it ready, but it's just you got to wait for that moment, that comeback moment, that big moment for maybe Big 12 or Nationals.
True. I feel like it'll come a little sooner than that. Like I feel like throws always happen when you're consistent like that. Big throws always are soon to pop up at the same time. So it can. Happening around conference and nationals is good, but hopefully I'm not just at 200. It's like something way further than just 200 even. Hopefully something like real big.
How has this year differed from any year in the past?
Mature, older, been through a lot more, know how everything works, knows how I've been to nationals twice, knows how it works to go to conference multiple times. So it's like now I'm used to the routine, and now this is probably the healthiest I've ever been in my whole probably 5 years I've been here. So being more healthy, more mature, stronger, healthier, things are just lining up to where I'm starting off the season probably best that I've ever had in my life. So it's probably my best, healthiest start of my season I've ever had.
And you see that with the rest of your teammates too?
We're all a little healthier, we're all a little stronger. So I think this part, we're a little older, this team. We're younger and older, probably a good mix of both of them. So it's like we're combining both older and younger together, so it's like kind of working out, it seems like.
What did you think of the way indoor ended for you? Because, you had a good indoor season, and then you get bumped out of the top 16 and not get to go to national.
Indoor was good. I was consistent throwing 70, 3-time indoor Big 12 champion. Didn't make nationals, but I take it as a blessing. Maybe it was getting me ready for outdoor season, so I wasn't as tired going to outdoor season. So I take it as a blessing that I didn't go to nationals. Even though it was a great competition, I probably would have been excited to be a part of it. But being able to just get prepared earlier for outdoor season probably is a big advantage for me that I had this year.
Getting prepared for outdoor season. How do you get ready for the heat? Obviously, not having to deal with that out in here, but outside it's going to be 100 on some days. How do you prepare for that?
Probably just all the years I've been here, I'm kind of used to it. I mean, I'd rather throw in the hot than the cold any day.
Why's that?
Just because I'm warmer. I'm not good in the cold. I feel tight and I don't know. I don't like being cold. So I'd rather be sweating and hot than, than being cold any day. So going in hot weather is good for me.
You talked about the team is older.
Mm-hmm.
How has this team come together, especially after dealing with COVID and the tough indoor season, to be ready for what you have to offer throughout the year?
Well, I think this team, I feel like most of the seniors have gone to national all the time. You got me, you got Ruth, you got Monet who's been, you got Ruta. Even though she has another year, she's still older. So it's like the experience of knowing what it's like to compete at a high level. That it's not the nerves just trying to get you. It's like you know what you have to do and how you're supposed to get there. And all you do is like you show it to the people who might be younger than you and saying and give them the confidence that they can do the same.
Who are the younger people that are looking up to you, that are pulling you aside and saying, "Help me see some help"?
I mean, probably just my throwers. Like I have Malin, I got Phil, who are younger than me, who's like never been a national before. So I just kind of like show through an example of what it looks like to be determined in practice and compete at a high level, and don't let the competition scare you.
You talking about your transition from indoor to outdoor. You missed nationals, but you came in to the first 3 meets you competed in. You're top of the NCAA. You won all those meets. How do you keep that success going in and out?
Stay focused. Don't let being number one right now get to your head, because at the end of the day, you still have to go to nationals and win. So right now, it's just like being number one right now gives you confidence, but it's not something that's going too far. I'm consistent. My goal is to stay consistent, hit a big throw now, continue to hit a big throw later. So constantly the growth process, and the throwing is probably my biggest focus I have this whole year.
You're a senior, potentially your last time competing in tech uniform. How has your success that you've had so far, this indoor and outdoor, really just helped you?
Probably just the experience. I mean, I've been here. This is my COVID year. So last year was technically my senior. This is my COVID year. So it's like I've done the whole process. One time, I got third nationals last year. So now it's like since I got third, my goal is now to win. So it's like having that experience at that level is like I think it gives you that motivation for your last year, knowing it's your last year, to put everything you have left into it.